All I'm saying that having a demon lord or like a lich king is so passé. Like, I get it, you need some kind of motivation for why the heroes are going and doing heroic shit. And I get it, there's a really, really evil dude who found an ancient artifact and is using it to be really, really evil. And I get it, who doesn't like a guy in probably like a long robe with like a staff with like a probably purple glowy crystal on the end? But it's just been done, and if we're being honest, it's a bit contrived. Like, it's a bit contrived. So have you thought about silk? Have you thought about silk? Like, really thought about it? So you may well know these days that the way that people make silk is that there are silkworms, they're little caterpillars, and they weave a cocoon, or whatever it's called, out of silk, out of little tiny strands. Just little white squirmy dudes that eat mulberry leaves and make silk, and we end up killing them. Like, you probably already knew that, you know? Silk comes from silkworms that eat mulberry leaves, and you can't really feed them anything else, it's really just mulberry leaves. People have died for that secret. People have died for that. You probably already knew that, and if you didn't, you know it now. When I say people have died for that, I mean a lot. I mean a lot of people. If at any point during a lot of history, actually, the West, I guess, had learned of the secret of silkworms and how to farm them and what to feed them, if the West had started production of silk and no longer had to trade with China that was making a lot of money from silk, when I say that a lot of people would have died, I mean a lot of people would have died. You'd have entire swathes of particular areas of China's economy just collapsing completely. You'd have ambitious fuckers left and right trying to take advantage of the chaos. I'd put $20 on that being the end of that dynasty. Like, yeah, no, $40, $40. Like, if you're the Chinese dynasty that lost silk to the West, oh, you're gone. So blue. Okay, so for, again, a lot of history, there were city-states, even entire nations, where a fair part of their economy was the export of blue. I mean lapis lazuli, but blue. I have some, actually. There you go. Blue. Now, if, for example, somewhere else someone had invented, a different way of synthesizing just a nice blue pigment, oh yeah, no, there would be entire cities, perhaps entire nations, who would take, okay, here's the they wouldn't necessarily, all be burned to the ground, but, if you were looking for an opportunity to invade, I guess in this case, fantasy Afghanistan, that's when you do it. That's when you do it, when their economy is taking a hit because someone else invented blue. And, I know that, from where we're standing in this lovely age of technology, the idea that a rock, like the one over there, was something that, kept up economies in entire cities, it's super dead. But, this is exactly the kind of thing that might, weaken a nation enough that that's the time that people would, try to annex something. Okay, but, what's the plot? So, your heroes are tasked with defending or, transporting some guy, like an alchemist or a chemist or something like that just happens to invent blue? Yeah, go on. We're, transporting or protecting this guy as he, perfects his formula that, among other things, will ultimately lead to the collapse of an economy like two nations that way? Among other things, yeah. What, so because of blue, that's going to ruin some economies, and so some other people are going to invade or, annex, and that's going to destabilize the entire region and throw it into a conflict the size... Oh, because of blue. I mean, as much because of blue as because of the natural tendency of nations to be constantly looking for weaknesses in their neighbors and for an opportunity to strike and all that. Is this a specific historical reference? Did this actually happen? Not this necessarily, but more or less. I'm just pointing out that you don't need, a demon king or a lich or something like that to be the bad guy. The bad guy could be that because there was a blight a couple of years ago. A blight in one of the stable crops. Oh, actually, no, that'd do it. Yeah. Right, if there was, a blight and, all of the wheat in Europe died. Oh, okay. Yeah, and then 10 years later, everything's still kind of a shit fight, yeah. Right, so you've got something like an entire continent that's still reeling from a bad thing that happened, maybe a couple of years ago. Well, so here's the part where you take these kinds of concepts and you implant them into a fantasy setting. Because if everyone's still reeling from, 20% of everyone dying because all of the wheat died, 20%? Yeah. And this is the kind of time that interplanar demons would try to invade, or a dragon would want to set up shop, or an ancient civilization that had just been waiting for a vulnerable time and period to rise from the ocean floor or something like that. That's when the Necrons start coming back, right? Gotcha. No, let's not do that. The thing is that sometimes it doesn't need to be a big evil demon lord or something like that. Sometimes it can just be, there was a plague. It fucking sucked. All the horses got sick and no one was able to transport anything. Yeah, and now half the continent's in, what we in the business call a schmozzle. All of these different nations and, magical entities are trying to stake their claim. What the people really need, what they really need is a hero. But it's got to be strong. It's got to be fast. And it's got to be fresh from the fight.